Okay. So something extremely stressful that happened to me was about a week and a half ago. I was supposed to be going home to back to New Jersey, and I got randomly like I just chose to get tested for COVID just to make sure I was all right to go fly. And I didn't even have any symptoms, nothing that would tell me that I was sick, but I ended up testing positive. So the reason I was supposed to go home was because my brother was getting married. So immediately I started freaking out because I was like, how am I going to be there for my brother's wedding? I'm a bridesmaid. I mean, it's my only brother. I was full blown freaking out. I mean, it turned out that I couldn't go home, which was very unfortunate for everything that was going on. But I was able to live stream the wedding and the ceremony, which was really nice. I was really fortunate to be able to like still watch my brother get married without being physically there. And everyone was sending me videos and pictures, so I kind of felt like I got to experience it like through technology. Um, but I was so upset about it. And thankfully, when I go back home, I'm now going home for Thanksgiving. I'll be able to like we're all gonna get dressed up again, take photos, and pretend I was there, even though I wasn't. But yeah, that was super stressful. And that was stress on top of already getting COVID and starting to get the symptoms. So I wasn't feeling well at all. I was completely out of it. And out of my friend group, I only hang out with about 5 people regularly. We try to be as safe as we can. And one of us must have gone in from like the food store, going to class, something, because we end up all getting COVID. And I was the only one with symptoms, which weren't even that bad. I mean, I'm exhausted. I would sleep. Like I normally like go to bed around 1, wake up around 9. I'll be going to bed around 11 and sleeping until like 1 p.m. Like it was impossible for me to get out of bed because I was just so tired. Besides that, like I lost my taste, I lost my scent, and then let's see, I had a stomach ache and a headache. But it could have been so much worse, especially because I have asthma and a heart disorder, so I was a little anxious about like what would happen. But it all turned out fine, and I have no symptoms anymore, thankfully. So yeah, that was my last 10 days, which was insane.
Wow, that sounds so hard. Like a roller coaster of emotions. Like,
Oh, for sure.
yeah, you're missing your family time, and then you are in bed and you're just like feeling terrible.
Yeah.
Yes. How was your response to the COVID symptoms different than your friend groups?
I quarantined with my boyfriend because he had as well, and I didn't want to expose my roommate to it. And he felt bad for me because he was like, oh my gosh, like, why are you the one feeling this way? But I personally preferred that I was the one feeling awful rather than all my friends feeling awful. And it would come in waves. So it wasn't like constantly feeling down. But, once or twice a day, I would just kind of feel like, oh, wow, I have the flu or something. And like, it sucks. It really does. But it is what it is. Thankfully, no one else had those symptoms and just move on from it.
Yes. Yeah. I could see how it like makes you feel better that you're the one having the symptoms because I would feel that way too. But
Yeah.
yes, how like were you able to do all of your schoolwork or did you have to catch up? How did that play out?
So it was kind of, so far I'm not behind in any class, which is really good. A lot of my classes are all group projects at the moment. So I told my members, I'm like, hey, I can't meet you in person. I'll do any work online that I can. That limits me a little bit because I did have to do, or my group had to do some machining. So I kind of felt bad about that. But for the most part, I was able to stay on top of everything, which was really good. No exams, thankfully. I would have died. And then most of my professors were like, hey, if you need an extension, just let us know. So that was really nice, really grateful for that.
Yes, that's good to hear because it's better that way than having to catch up on everything.
Oh my God, yeah, especially with like it being the end of term. I couldn't imagine having them all pile up.
Yes. And how was your relationship with Protect Purdue during all of this?
It was interesting. I definitely have a little less respect for Protect Purdue after all this. So initially, they let you know by calling you and setting you up with a case manager. And then I got phone calls from like the state, the township, and then a couple more from Purdue, all asking like similar questions for contact tracing. And then I haven't heard from Protect Purdue since then, except for when I got my email. The only other thing they mentioned were they really wanted me to move to isolating housing. I forget where it is. It's in one of their off apartments. And I was like, oh, my boyfriend has it. I'm going to be living with him. And they were very hesitant about letting me do that, even though he was positive. But thankfully I could, because if I had to do 2 or 10 days completely by myself, I would have died. Yeah.
Yes.
And they don't want people to retest, which is very weird to me. Yeah.
That's weird. That's really
Yeah.
weird. And yeah, I've heard people having to go. It's at Purdue Village, like the isolated housing, and I heard it's awful. Like you can't leave. Like it sounds
Yes.
terrible. And
Mhm.
also the people who call us like back for Protect Purdue, like they're all different. And so they all gave each of my roommates a different response. So none of us knew,
Really?
yeah, none of us knew what to do. Like we were like, okay, so do we get retested? Do we like stay in quarantine? Like we were just exposed. Like it wasn't like some was negative, like but then they told like one person to quarantine, but the other person they're good. So it was just confusing.
Did you have it?
All my roommates were exposed, but we were all negative. So
Oh, good.
it was, one of those scenarios where we were confused on what to do, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy. I've known so many people who either had a quarantine because they had it, or like a roommate had it, or they've been exposed, and everyone is getting different protocols. And
Yeah.
I'm sure after Halloween weekend, I'm sure the numbers have jumped substantially.
Oh, yeah. And it's amazing hearing like one person is like connected to all these mutual friends, and they somehow have it in our
Yeah.
quarantine.
That's why I'm so nervous, because one of my professors, it's not like he's upset I can't be in class, but it's a lab-based class and it's very hard to do it when you're not there. It's a mechanical engineering design class.
Okay.
So he was like understanding, letting me know everything I needed to know, but I emailed him, I think it was yesterday, saying that I'm off quarantine, but I'm retesting and just want to make sure I get that negative test results before I go back to class, to ensure everyone's safety. And he's like, are you sure that's necessary if Purdue like deemed you off quarantine? And I want to be like, they only quarantined me for 10 days and I had symptoms. So I feel like we should definitely be playing this safe.
Right. Yeah. Everyone just seems to be on different pages and not communicating.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm happy to hear that you are feeling better and to be out of quarantine. Woo.
Yes, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. But yeah, I'm definitely excited because apparently, I don't know how true this is because everywhere tells you something different, but Purdue is telling me that I have 3 months now that I am basically unable to carry COVID, get COVID, none of that. So that makes me a little more comfortable now that I'm going home to my family in a few weeks.
Mhm.
Yeah, especially because my sister has some health issues, my parents are older. So whether or not that's true, it makes me feel a little more calm and at ease about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be good to go home knowing that you're keeping your family safe.
Yeah, definitely excited to pet some dogs.
Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna share a story about my first college job that I got. I was looking through all the jobs at Purdue, and I was like, "Ooh, cooking instructor! Like that sounds fun." So then I applied, and they got back to me and said, "We would like you to come in for an interview." So I interviewed with them, and then they called me back for an audition. So I had to audition to be a cooking instructor, and I've never like instructed cooking. I was just like, oh, I like to cook, that sort of thing. And so I was going to go to the audition, and the day of, I had already run a half marathon. And then I reread the email about the audition, and it said, you have to have the ingredients and bring them. And I was like, what? Like, I had no ingredients or a recipe. So I go into Third Street Marketplace and I'm looking for ingredients, and I eventually found like cream cheese, Oreos, and chocolate, and I made these Oreo truffles. And it was really, really good, honestly. Like, I was surprised that I pulled it off because I didn't know what I was doing. I was so nervous. I was like shaking. I was like, I don't even know where the kitchen utensils are, anything in this kitchen that I'm demoing in. And they're all just like, they're the instructors that were already hired that were judging me. And so they're just watching and like writing, and I'm just like, like I hope I'm doing this right, you know.
Oh my God.
And then they all got to try my food. It was definitely like Food Network style. But the good news is I got the job. Like, I was one of 3 people selected.
Ooh.
That was fun.
Yeah, congratulations on that. So besides the fact that you had to do like an audition, how has this varied from like other interview procedures or application procedures?
Ooh. Um well, I guess it's like prepared me in that like they asked a lot of questions about my experience with something that I loved, but I also realized I have a lot of cooking experience, so I was able to like think through that. And like I had prepared 90 meals in Bosnia before, and I was like, what?
Wow.
That goes towards the experience.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's crazy. How long have you been cooking?
Since I was little, my mom used to do like 4-H and stuff like that. So she loved cooking, and so we would make cookies for Christmas every year. And like, I loved Chopped on Food Network, so I would try to like mix random stuff.
That's so fun. Oh my God. So do you still work there?
Yeah, I do. Although
Hmm.
with COVID, it looks a lot different.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, we really haven't had many demos. We're only doing this thing where someone can sign up for a hammer down challenge and like do a challenge against a friend, like a cook off. So
That's actually really cute. Is this through the co-rec?
yeah, you can sign up, sponsored.
Oh, I actually might do that. That sounds fun. And you like working there?
Yeah, I do. It's a free meal every time I work there, which is nice.
That's very nice. How often do you work then each week?
Well, with COVID, like 0 hours, but
Yeah.
without COVID, I would work like once to twice a week. Like, it was a
Oh,
nice, like, chill thing.
that's not too bad. So how was that like with balancing schoolwork or other extracurricular activities?
Yeah, I would say it was really easy. Like, it was only like 4 hours of my week, so it was never like stressful compared to
Hmm.
other jobs I've had at the co-rec. I feel like all my jobs are at the co-rec.
What were your other jobs?
The worst job I ever had at the co-rec was I videoed for the um referees of intramurals so they
Oh
could
my
watch
God.
the film.
I can
Because
only imagine how stressful that was.
it was like the boringest job because you're there for 2 hours just like holding the camera steady,
Hmm.
and then it would be like -2 degrees outside during soccer games, and I almost quit on the job. My
Oh
hands
my
were
God.
falling off.
I don't think I could do it. So did you ever play like any IM sports or not really?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
played basketball, ultimate frisbee, and then just this semester I played kickball.
Oh, that's cool. I played a couple sports, but I haven't done it since like COVID. So how has it been like with
Oh
the
yeah.
new rules and everything?
Yeah, I think they did kickball because you can like spread out and stuff, but you
Hmm.
have to always have your mask on, and it gets really wet. Like, I didn't
Yeah,
realize that, but it was kind of gross.
I can see that happening. Did you feel like it was safe or were you a little nervous?
Yeah, it was definitely safe because we were spread
Mhm.
out quite a bit. I mean, there's 6 feet. It's fine.
Well, that's pretty good.
Mm.
Yeah.